I wanted to make this video with some tips on how to successfully run an Instagram account. Hey guys, I am Demis, aka D from the OVERWATCH and ATOMIIXTV. I wanted to make this video with some tips on how to successfully run an Instagram account. Why? Well, it is a question I get asked a lot. 3 years ago, I started the OVERWATCH. The OVERWATCH is an Instagram account that focuses on news, community content, just general stuff about Overwatch. That's a team-based shooter made by Blizzard Entertainment. As of today, the OVERWATCH has over 180,000 followers. And I have a few other accounts, so overall I think I'm about at 250,000 followers, which is okay, which is nice. The thing is, I manage all of these accounts on top of my day job. And besides that, I'm also streaming, I'm making YouTube videos like this one, I'm doing podcasts, so I'm actually doing a lot of stuff outside of my working hours, including these Instagram accounts. And mainly because I cannot make a living of any of these things I'm doing right now and not making a living of those 250,000 followers. Now, there's a lot of influencers that have a lot less followers, but they are making a living out of it. How is that possible? Well, that's tip number one. There's a ton of different ways to approach Instagram. You have traveling vloggers, you have photography accounts, you have people that focus on food, you have these classical influencers, and what I'm doing, and the rest of these tips will kind of reflect that, is more of a content news approach. And the ones that are making money are the influencer accounts, the personality accounts. And a lot of brands don't feel comfortable investing if there's no personality attached to it. I do have a personality account, which is ATOMIIXTV on Instagram. Go follow. If I had 180,000 followers on that account, well, I would be traveling all year around, and the only thing I would be posting are pictures of myself in a Speedo. So yeah, maybe it's a good thing I don't have 180,000 followers on ATOMIIXTV yet. But I'm not complaining. 3 years in, I still have fun putting content on that account, thinking of new content, and interacting with that community. And I think that's going to be tip number 2. Make sure you have fun in what you do, because you're in for the long run, and if you're not having fun, you're not going to make it. Tip number 3 is, well, you're not going to make it because it's a lot of work. I spent about 3 to 4 hours every single day working on all of these accounts. And as I said, that's after I did my day job. So after I get home from work, I spend a lot of my free time just working on everything that I do for ATOMIIX and for the OVERWATCH. Which is kind of crazy. And of course, I do hope that one day all this work will kind of pay off, but I'm mainly enjoying the journey. Now, the rest of the tips are more focused on these content accounts, but even if you're going for an influencer account, there might be some stuff in there that you'll be able to use. Tip number 4, never, and I really mean never, buy any followers. The moment you start an account and it gets over that 1,000 threshold, you'll be getting messages from all these bots kind of offering you the world, going like 10,000 followers for just $100. It's all fake. I can spot these accounts immediately. It's so easy to kind of figure out who paid money for their followers. And the main thing you need to be looking at is the interaction rate. When you see someone with 10,000 followers but 100 likes, there's an issue. All these empty followers that you're buying, they're bringing you nowhere. It's the interactions between people, and the interactions between you and the followers, that is the thing that will make you grow bigger. Buying followers just sets you up for failure, and you might just lose your account. Number 5, choose your topic wisely. What I mean is, don't be too general. The more specific you target a certain audience, the more success you'll have. What I do on the OVERWATCH, for instance, is games, shooters, Blizzard shooters, well, you only have one, and then Overwatch, which is a good community. It's a solid community, but still it's specific enough for people to kind of go, oh, this guy tells me every single day what is happening in Overwatch, I'm going to follow him. And that ties into tip number 6. Think about your identity. What is the proper name to use? What is a good logo to use? What is a good thumbnail to use? What are my posts going to look like? I know it can be daunting for some people, or it can feel like an overkill, but trust me, it's not. People will recognize your brand, your identity, and they'll recognize the quality of the work that you deliver. And all this combined will just invoke trust. And people will start interacting with you, sending you messages, putting comments, start talking to each other in your comments, and that will get the ball rolling. Tip number 7. Be consistent in your posts. What I mean by that is that you need to make sure that you're there when people expect you to be there. There's 2 ways of approaching that. Either you have a really strict schedule that you adhere to, or you make sure that anytime something big happens in whatever content you're covering, that you're there, that you're reporting on it, that you're telling people about it, that they can count on you, that every time something will happen, that they'll get the news from you. But make sure you try to post at a decent rate. It doesn't need to be a daily post. It can be a post every week, every 2 weeks, but you just need to make sure that you keep that rhythm going. But when I say be consistent in your post, that also reflects on the type of content you bring, your tone of voice, how it all looks, what type of content you're actually bringing. But on the other hand, you need to keep some room for experimentation. Start looking for the different types of content. You can do an occasional experiment and see how people react to it. It is important to kind of bring some variation. In my case, I've been doing this for 3 years, and the posts I did in the beginning are still there. The basic news posts are still there. They look slightly different. They've evolved over the 3 years, but those posts are there. But all the stuff around that, like the community posts, they have always kind of evolved throughout the years. And I'm still looking into new ways of bringing community content. And I kind of listen to the community and see what they are doing, what they are interested in, to reflect that and bring new types of content. So keep to the basic content, but everything around that, be creative. Think about new ways you want to interact with your community. And that's tip number 8. Within those types of interacting with your community, try to be creative, original. You'll often see something that someone else is doing, and you'll have your own twist on that, which can happen, which could be okay, but always try to go that step beyond that. Think of something that you haven't seen before. Sometimes there will be a reason why nobody else is doing it, but other times you might be the first. While I'm talking about listening to your audience, that is my next tip. Try and profile your followers. What I mean by that is try to figure out who these people are, why they are drawn to your account, but also try to figure out where your target audience lives. For instance, at the OMNIIX post, I'm Belgian, you can tell by my accent, I live in Europe. But the bigger part of my audience for the OMNIIX post actually lives in North America. So I'll try to figure out a good time for my posts to make sure that when people in the States are awake and using their phones, that my content will pop up. And it's not only about timing, you need to keep in mind who these people are in the way that you communicate with them. It's extremely important. You need to keep certain things in mind when you're talking to people on the other side of the world. But that's something you have to figure out for yourself, kind of dependent on what you're talking about. Okay, something more technical. You have stories and you have posts. You have Instagram TV, but let's be honest, not a lot of people are using that. Stories and posts are really 2 different types of content. What I noticed is that there's a lot of people that kind of watch both, but there's also a big group that just watches stories and swipes through the stories the whole time. On the other hand, you have people that totally ignore the stories and they're just focused on the posts. So try to figure out for yourself which type of content you want to put in a story and which type you want to put in a post and how you can have those 2 interact with each other. What you often see is that people will post a story about a post they did, but there's more creative ways of doing that. And while we're talking technical, tags. Tags are extremely important, hashtags. Make sure that you have enough, but don't overdo it. I would say that 10 to 15 tags would be sufficient. Now, make sure that the most important ones are in front, but make sure to swap it up from time to time. If you keep copy pasting the same tags for every single post, Instagram will slowly push you to the back. But it's not only Instagram that is the issue. What is the issue is that your tags need to reflect the content that you bring. If people start looking for tags or the algorithm starts proposing content dependent on these tags, you want it to be the correct content. You don't want to invoke that frustration of being off topic based on a tag. So go for a good set of tags and make sure that they're relevant. Think about them. It's really important. It is one of the most important tools for you to grow your account. Another important tool is interaction. Like I've said a few times before, the interaction on your account will kind of fuel growth and will kind of tell Instagram that you're doing something good. Now, what are interactions? One thing you can do, of course, is keep an eye on your comments and comment back. But at a certain point, I can tell you with my 180,000 followers on the OVERWATCH post, sometimes these comments just keep on going and it almost becomes impossible to keep answering every comment. What I try and do is just jump in occasionally and answer some comments, but that can be a bit of a challenge. It kind of depends on how personal you take certain things. When your account grows really big, well, we all know how the internet is. And I feel like I need to warn you that some of the comments might not feel good. But you need to get over that. It's not about you, it's about that person that is commenting. And often it will not reflect their opinion on you, but their opinion on the topic you're talking about. So make sure to kind of separate those. Other types of interactions are, of course, replying on your messages. I get so many messages on a daily basis, and I just kind of take out the time to reply to most of them. Not all of them. Kind of depending if someone just sends me a random string of text. It takes a lot of time, but people really appreciate it if you take the time to answer their questions. You would enjoy that too, right? I thought so. And then the third type of interactions is put stuff in your stories that people can click on, polls, these sliders that you can use to ask how much they like something or how much they dislike something. All these types of things are really fun interactions you can have with your community. And the final one is go to their accounts and see what they're talking about and reply to their posts with comments. So there's a big community behind your account and you need to communicate with them, talk with them, and find ways to collaborate. Now, that was about it. I hope you guys found it useful, but there's one thing I kind of want to touch on is the huge shadow banning ghost. Up till now, there has not been any proof of shadow banning existing. I do think that Instagram will push your account back a little bit if they feel you're spamming too much or the content that you bring might be offensive, might not fit in their idea of how Instagram should look. But if you're being a good person and you work really hard, there's a way of getting around that. You just need to be really strategic in the way you approach your content. Make sure that you use the correct tags, that you don't start spamming, that you stay original, and that you stay relevant. The pressure is on you as a content creator, not always on the platform, even though that the platform will create limitations. But never expect them to change those limitations. It's up to you to work around these limitations and hope to get at the best for you and your community. And that was it. I hope it helps you guys out. There's no magic shortcut. It's all just hard work. You need to put in the hours and the blood, sweat, and tears. But I hope my tips kind of help you out to kind of find that direction and to kind of realize what you need to do to make your account work. And one day you'll reach that magic number of 10,000 followers and you'll be able to put links behind your stories and the world will open up. I almost threw over a bottle. Now, if you have any further questions, just post them in the comments below. And if there's enough questions that I can answer at least, there might be a follow-up video. And I want to keep sharing my experiences. I've been doing this for 3 years and I hope to do this for a lot more years to come. And I still have a lot of stuff to learn about. I recently started my own influencer account called ATOMIIXTV. Go follow on Instagram and Twitter. So I'm currently learning a lot about that whole influencer thing. So you can expect more content about that in the future too. And like I said, feel free to follow ATOMIIXTV on Instagram and Twitter. And of course the OVERWATCH post on those same platforms. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so you get notified every time I eat banana. No, I upload a video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.